USC and UCLA are leaving the Pac-12. Let's go out to Brock Huard, Fox Sports football analyst, 6 seasons in the NFL. Well, let's start with that. What was your initial reaction when you heard about this move?
Yeah, it was shock. It was shock, Joy. And I shouldn't be shocked, and any of us in college football in this day and age, and professional sports for that matter. I mean, Kevin Durant wants out of New Jersey, right? There should be nothing that shocks us. But I got to tell you, yesterday I was out to breakfast with a friend, a high school coach here in the area, and he said, "Did you see what just came across?" And I said, "No, I'm engaged in a good conversation with you. Why are you looking at your phone?" And he said, "Well, USC and UCLA, according to initially John Wilner, are out. They're going to go to the Big Ten." I said, "No, you're out of your skull. That's not going to happen. How are 2 teams in LA going to be part of the Midwest and the Big Ten?" And so I was shocked. It brought me back 25 years to an earthquake that I was in Seattle when I played at the University of Washington, that the ground just started moving. First time I'd ever experienced it. It was surreal. It didn't make sense. And I got to be honest, 24 hours later, Joy, this is still pretty hard to absorb for a West Coast guy that grew up and knew everything about this conference inside and out, and USC and UCLA really, in many ways, the foundational pieces of it.
So how does this affect college football moving forward?
Well, as your buddy Colin Cowherd tweeted last night, there are winners and there are losers. And USC and UCLA are clearly winners. The Big Ten is clearly a winner. TV and Fox, is going to be a winner. And some of these matchups are going to be incredible. And the ratings and revenue are going to be awesome. So there's all sorts of winners on that side. And then I've got lots of friends that are Cougs, lots of friends that are Beavers, lots of friends in Pullman and Corvallis that are wondering where in the world of the college football landscape are they going to fit? Where are they going to fit in college athletics, period? Much like friends at Kansas State and Baylor and Kansas and other spots think the same way, Joy. I mean, we know what the Big Ten, we know what these additions, we know what they're going to look like. Mike Bohn made mention of that, the stability that offers. We know what the SEC looks like. Everybody else right now, every AD, every fan, every alumnus at any of those other schools outside of those 2 mega power conferences right now, they've got to look at it and wonder, where do they fit over the long term? I don't know. They don't know. Nobody knows. And that's the state of college athletics today.
Well, yeah, I mean, it seems like it's a bit of a trend, not just in college athletics, but around the world. There is becoming a bigger gap between the haves and the have-nots. And they also talked about NIL playing a role in this as well. So who does this benefit more, the USC and UCLA or the other existing Big Ten teams?
Yeah, I think it's a win-win, winner, chicken dinner for both. I think the Big Ten gets the LA market, gets this recruiting base. Wisconsin and Iowa and Illinois and schools there now can cast their net maybe out west a little bit more in ways they never could have before. For the kids in Southern California and on the West Coast to now say, man, I get an opportunity to play in the Horseshoe. I get the opportunity to play in Michigan. I get the opportunity to play at Iowa and Wisconsin and Nebraska. Yeah, so I think for all of those parties, it is winner. I don't think there's one side that gains more or less, frankly, Joy. I think that's why this deal got done like that. I think it's why it was a shock. I think it was why it's a surprise. I think it was why, kind of behind the scenes, the Big Ten, Kevin Warren and their crew, USC and UCLA and their crew and their power brokers said, you know what this is? This is a win-win. And this is why we can get it done behind the scenes, why we can announce it in the morning, why it can be finalized in the evening, because both parties from the Big Ten side and USC and UCLA side, they are certainly winners in it.
We're talking to Brock Huard, Fox Sports football analyst. I am very pro NIL. I was a college athlete. Alex was a college athlete. You were a college athlete. My brothers were college athletes. And I think that in a lot of these situations, when things start to become very extreme, such as student athletes not knowing where their next meal is coming from while they're providing services that are bringing in, billions into an industry, I think, huge swings of corrections can happen. And the NIL also was an inevitable thing because of the internet. Social media and the revenue that is generated on social media has changed the entire world. I mean, it's changed advertising. So I'm pro this. I'm also pro education because that's what they're in college for. So financial education is something that's very important. It's not something that I had growing up. I'm still trying to figure out how to use the stock market. So I do think that there can be two ways to do this. Let young adults make a lot of money, because this is America and you're 18, you should be able to, but also provide them with the education on what to do with that money. But obviously there are a lot of nuances to the NIL conversation. Where do you stand on it?
I stand with Tara Vonderveer, and I don't think she'll mind me sharing this story because we were at league meetings in early May. And Joy, I got to be honest too, when this news came down yesterday, I thought back to those meetings. And I thought back to, man, it was a weird vibe at these meetings in Arizona where all the conferences were at and where the Pac-12 in particular at a dinner that I sat that night and talking to Tara and her saying, you know what, this just got so out of whack, right? On one side, to your point, when you can't take somebody out to lunch, right? When you can't host your own football camp, when you've got to figure out, how to survive as a college student athlete, there were many things that made no sense on that side of it. Equally, as you said, as the pendulum has now swung to this side, this is totally out of whack. I mean, $9 million deals for 17-year-olds that haven't played a down in college football. It just doesn't, in my personal belief, I don't think that sets them up for success and how to manage that and how to handle that and the expectations with that and being tied now to those advertisers or those people putting that money in your pocket and what that means for you in a locker room with teammates as you come in as a freshman. So nuance is a good word, as you said, but there have got to be some level of guardrails. There's got to be some level of rules and regulations. And right now there isn't any, because right now the NCAA, thanks to the Supreme Court, a year ago plus said, yeah, we're out. We don't want any liability. We do not want to get sued. We do not want to. It's on you. You guys go figure this out. And now as we see in college athletics, like, who is going to figure it out? What's going to happen is this party is going to look out for their best interests. This conference is going to look out for their best interests. These players are going to look out for their best interests. And as a collective, it is a mess right now.
We're talking to Brock Huard, Fox Sports football analyst, Joy Taylor in for Colin Cowherd. Let's talk a little USFL. The championship game is this weekend. And which player impressed you the most this season?
Oh, there have been a few, Joy. It's been fun. Been fun to be on this ride and to see it come to an end Sunday night is also, it'll be the third time I use the word surreal, but it's going to be a little surreal when it all ends Sunday night. Kurt and Joel and the entire crew that have been a part of this thing from the very beginning with Fox. A few of my favorites are the two quarterbacks that you'll watch Sunday night. Jamar Smith from Birmingham, Case Cookus from Philadelphia. Joy, neither of them came into this league as starters. These 8 franchises kind of hand-selected their QBs, drafted their QBs first. Neither of these were the first choice. I love that. They both got their opportunities with injuries. Their teams really in many ways kind of revolve around their personalities. They're fun. They're tough. They've taken a beating. They get up and just everybody, they resonate and everybody picks up the pieces around them. So those two, not just a QB world, but those two personality-wise are so fun and have really impacted their team and why they're on this stage Sunday night. The
championship game is at 7:30 Eastern on Fox, the Birmingham Stallions and the Philadelphia Stars. Personalities are obviously super important to these leagues. What was one of the technological innovations that the USFL used that you maybe want to see the NFL try out or you thought worked really well? Because they were very creative with a lot of things they used, not just, as far as rules and the technology that they used, but also the camera angles. There was so much that they experimented this year with the USFL, and it looked great.
I mean, I like the lasers. Not everybody likes lasers. I like the lasers when it comes to measuring the first down markers, built into the stadium so you could see it, lasers on those uprights. So that kick right there, if it was close and on the upright, you could, get a good gauge of it and judge, just technologically like they have, in tennis and they have in hockey and they have in soccer in the goals. So I like the lasers, but I really love the drone views. To me, those were just awesome. That's a helmet cam right there. Those are super cool. Would you want to see a helmet cam on some of these dudes in the NFL on some of those hits? I would. I would enjoy watching the speed and ferocity from the face mask. So I think it's all of those things have been pretty cool. I know that Fox and Roger Goodell and the league have certainly kept an interest and had a keen eye on these views. But that drone, as it zips around the stadium, as I've been there, it is. I mean, it's just different. I mean, it just provides. That's it right there. That's the drone view that's following the football. Massive quickness and speed. So I've loved all of it. I really have. I've loved the players' joy though more than anything. The players and coaches on the sidelines who have such a love to play. I mean, it's been refreshing for me. Right, we talk all this college and NIL and all this nuance and all this crazy stuff, and here are guys that are there for the love of the game to keep their dream alive, and I have felt it, I have sensed it, and for one more weekend, I get to enjoy it Sunday night.
It's been a great inaugural season. Championship game on Fox on Sunday, 7:30 Eastern on Fox on Sunday, Birmingham Stallions and Philadelphia Stars. Thank you so much for joining us, Brock. Really appreciate it. Enjoy your holiday weekend.
Anytime, Joy. Thank you. You have a good one, too.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.